Online, I'm Comet the Duck. Welcome to video 2 on walking with him. This story begins 40 years ago. I joined a group with a faith, and one day suddenly I got rejected. They insisted that I had to convert others. When I said I wasn't comfortable with that, they said I was on the devil's side and kicked me out. After that, I still yearned for a path to God, but my heart told me to respect each person's path. All of the religious groups that I knew wanted people to convert others. I couldn't fit in. If I tried to join, I would just face rejection again. For 40 years I yearned for him and I didn't know how to reach him. The first 10 I kept trying, then 30 years of silence. Eventually I told myself God wasn't there. Then one day, about a year after COVID, someone showed me Nitrotype, a video game. I joined the team's Discord server using the name of Comet the Duck. Yeah, that's me. On Discord, I made a new friend. One that never mentioned his faith or God, not once. But there was something about the way he chose his words and acted in the servers. To me, it shouted that he had a strong faith and lived it. At that time on Discord, we never spoke openly about faith or religion. That made me feel safe because I didn't have to tell my friend that I wasn't comfortable trying to convert others. I followed the conversations of my friend with a faith in one server and then in others. I wanted to learn from him. Our friendship grew stronger. One day, it was an ordinary evening in my team's Discord server, until suddenly a server member came into the main channel in deep distress. His words were alarming, and the long silence is worse. Each time he stopped typing, we were left wondering, would we hear from him again? The situation was far beyond what any of us were equipped to handle, and being online made it worse. We only had his username. You can't call 911 on a username. We did our best to help. It was all we could do. For hours, everything hung by a thread. Spoiler alert. In the end, weeks later, everything turned out okay. But on that day, it was overwhelming. There was no walking away from this one just because it was too intense. I had to do what I could. To add to that, as server leader, I felt a deep sense of responsibility for everyone affected. Eventually at 2 a.m., the person in distress said he was going to sleep, and I believed him. For the moment, the situation had de-escalated. That experience shook me to my core. At work the next day, I tried to hide the shaking. It wasn't just exhaustion, it was leftover adrenaline. 3 days later, my body finally calmed down, but my mind didn't. I knew that I needed help to process the emotional aftermath. Would it be selfish to share my burden? I reached out in our team's officer channel. The responses were kind and honest, a couple of heart emojis, a few words, all meaning I care, but I can't help you. The situation is beyond what I can handle. I wasn't upset with them. They didn't ignore me, and it was good that they knew their limits. I would have to find a listening ear somewhere else. That evening, my online friend with the quiet faith reached out. He asked how I was. I avoided the topic. After 20 minutes, the small talk ran out. My friend didn't leave. 30 minutes in, my mind started to imagine a living room with me, Comet the Duck, sitting in a chair, and my online friend on the couch offering quiet support. Wow, that warmed my heart. My thoughts started to calm just a bit. I wanted to open up, but I'm not always good at choosing words. I've said wrong words before and lost friends. So I let the conversation drift, team stuff, racers, random chatter. I desperately needed support, but not at the cost of maybe choosing wrong words and risking this friendship. My imagination continued to show me the expression of attention and concern on my friend's face. The temptation to share grew and grew. Soon I was dreaming of opening up and sharing things that even Comet the Duck would never dare to share. Okay, I wasn't going to do that, but maybe I could hint at something deeper. I hesitated, and 10 minutes passed in silence. Surely by now my friend had sneaked out of my imaginary living room. Still, I had to try. I crafted an ordinary message, something safe, but in the middle I hid a small reference to something more. Weeks before, something odd happened. I wrote about it and shared my writing with this friend. There had been a series of unlikely details in my life, so unusual, so specific, that they had felt intentional. My mind had immediately called that event a barn door signal. What is a barn door signal? My mom once told me that there was a saying, if you wave at someone and they don't pay attention, then you pick up a huge barn door and wave it in their face, and then they have no choice but to notice, right? But to me, oddly, barn door signal didn't just mean notice this. It also meant obey. That was a weird memory. I didn't know where it came from, but I knew. Barn door signal? Do what it says. No questions. So of course I did what this one said, but it was easy. It told me to do what I would have done anyway, something in line with my heart. When I shared that story with my friend, he read it but didn't comment. Now, to hint at something deeper, I just referred to that story and said, the barn door signal is probably just imagined. Yeah, I was fishing. I was hoping he'd make a comment. By the time I hit send, I figured he was probably gone for the evening. But then the 3 dots appeared. He was typing. He was still there on Discord, still sitting on that sofa that I imagined. He mirrored my style with a long 10-line message, small talk about the leaderboard, and tucked in the middle, he hid a single deeper line. He said, as to the barn door, I don't believe it was imagined. Wow. Someone believed my barn door signal was real? My friend with a faith thought it was real? That was earth-shaking. My heart wanted to hug that statement because if this friend thought it was real, what if it was? I wanted so badly to continue that conversation, but I felt shy. A whole hour. My friend had already been with me a whole hour. Surely he was just being polite, waiting for his chance to leave. It wasn't time to start a new topic. I didn't want to be greedy after such a generous gift of time. So my fingers kept typing about ordinary topics, useless small talk. 10 more minutes passed. 20. My entire focus remained locked on that one sentence. I don't believe it was imagined. I wanted to answer him so badly, but I was scared to say more. I kept remembering the rejection of that group when I was young. If I started talking about deeper things, would this friend also reject me? I couldn't take that chance. Not again. So in spite of our surface chatter, I stayed quiet. And soon, I began to feel like I'd missed an unusual opportunity. And with that weight, a layer of shame. My friend had opened up enough to make a radical statement that he believed that my barn door signal had not been mere chance. Yet instead of answering, I had ignored his statement, How rude of me! Now 40 minutes had passed since that statement. My chance to thank him was gone. What a shame that my fear made me rude, and how sad that I missed the chance to connect on a deeper level. Suddenly rebellion grew inside of me, and a thought formed in my mind. This is discord. You can go back. With a click, you can reference an earlier message even long after it's been typed. I scrolled up. I clicked to reference his earlier message about believing my barn door was real, and I typed, "It means a lot to hear you say that." I didn't hit enter right away. This was important. In fact, did I say enough? I wanted to do more than acknowledge his message. My heart wanted more. Before I could stop them, my fingers typed about my doubts. There's days I believe, and then there's the other days. And then quickly, before I could change my mind, drawing on every ounce of my courage, I hit enter. I was far too scared to mention God, and technically my comment could have been about barn door signals, but my friend is very perceptive, and of course he understood what I hadn't said. He took a chance of his own, and he said, "I think God really does care about details." My eyes got really wide. That word, God. I knew my friend had a faith. I could see it like it was a shout. Still, it had been a guess. Now there it was in black and white. The mention of the name God felt like a gift. My friend had opened up and shared something deeply personal. I wanted to sit and treasure that gift. I could have left things there. So much had already been said tonight. But my heart was pushing me, almost recklessly. Keep the conversation going, now! I threw words at the screen. Words about nature, details, ducks. I even threw the word God in there. I wasn't even making sentences. Literally, I just threw groups of words on the screen. This wasn't speech. This was me desperately signaling to my friend, please keep talking about God. Would he understand? Of course he did. And once again, he took it a step further. He told me a personal story about God and details, and that gave me room to breathe. He'd been there on Discord, sitting on my imaginary couch of my imagined living room for over 2 real hours. I was hanging on to his words, and then my friend finished his story. He said, "I know for myself that God is real and answers prayers." And then he added, "If I were you, I'd ask, God, I don't know if you're out there, but if you are, will you show me in a way I cannot miss?" It's like the whole world stopped. That suggestion held so much meaning, I didn't know how to deal with it. That question, it was the kind of question that changes the world, that changes the shape of the universe. I had so much to think about. A lot had already happened tonight. My friend sitting with me in my imaginary living room, bringing the comfort of companionship, the mention of that word, God, and the personal story my normally very private friend shared. So many gifts. But now this additional suggestion, everything else paled in comparison to what my friend had just said. I needed time to think. I needed time to reflect. I felt like it would take me months to process this evening's conversation. Somehow my friend could tell that my attention was no longer on our conversation. We chatted lightly for a couple more minutes, and then the conversation ended, just like that. And that too was a gift. I scrolled back up. I was so glad that this conversation was on Discord because I had a record of it. Ask? Ask God? Directly, just like that? Are you kidding me? Wait. Ask and get an answer? Honestly, wasn't that rather unlikely? But what if it happened? No, that's impossible. My thoughts flew in all directions. No church, no religion, no rules to follow. Seriously, just like ask God and get an answer? That was unlikely. But what if? That was a staggering thought. I needed to understand better. Suddenly I grinned. I knew my friend, and from his character I could read more between the lines. My friend was deeply respectful. He would never dream of wasting somebody's time. So if he told me to ask, he thought an answer was likely. Wow, that was huge. My friend is very precise with his words. For example, he says, I've heard this, but I haven't verified it myself. But that statement he made about God, he didn't qualify it. That meant he had verified it firsthand. This question could be answered. My eyes grew wide. And one more thing. My friend was rarely wrong. My mind was fairly certain that God wasn't there. But in other matters, I was wrong far more often than my friend. Ask God and get an answer? That was too much to take in. I let the thought float away for a while. Still, those 2 hours of my friend sitting with me had really helped me with my feelings about the server issue. We hadn't even discussed that issue directly, but spending time with him had balanced something in me. I could deal with the aftermath of the server issue now, and I was deeply thankful for that. A few days later, I worked up the courage to imagine asking God that question. I would say, God, do you exist? And then what? Maybe this great big booming voice would come out of the wall to answer me? I'd be utterly terrified. Perhaps I'd be lucky and God wouldn't answer. But if I didn't get an answer, my friend would be sad. Either I got terrified or my friend got sad. That was a no-win situation. It was best to not ask. But that question just refused to leave my mind. My friend and I first got to know each other when we experimented with the rules of a Discord counting game. It was perhaps natural then that my mind started to create an imagined memory. My friend suggested a science experiment. He told me, let's ask God. If he answers, then he's here. It's an experiment worth trying. A month passed. Those imagined memories grew more detailed. Now I remembered that my friend kindly said, you can be the one to ask the question for our experiment. And I realized that if I did, then I'd also be the one to say, please show me in a way I cannot miss. I'd be the one in charge of running the experiment and the one who'd judge if God answered or not. That was a privilege and a responsibility. It put me in control, and honestly, that attracted me. I felt honored that my friend trusted me to run the science experiment. I felt sure of those memories. I was so sure that I never went back to check our conversation. That means I never discovered that they were imagined and not real. Another month passed. Those imagined science experiment memories were growing so clear. My fear of the loud voice from the wall grew less, and curiosity grew stronger. Really, how likely was it that I'd hear a booming voice? I'd never heard of that happening to anyone else when they speak with God. The more I thought about it, the more I was attracted by that science experiment. It was elegant and simple. I thought, my friend is so kind to give me the leading role. And how patient he is. He never reminds me that he's waiting for me to start. Of course, now I know why he didn't remind me. We never had a conversation about a science experiment in the first place. But at that time, I didn't know that. A fourth month passed. Now, my feelings were changing. I was getting impatient, restless, angry even. My imagination created a scene for me. I was sitting next to a trail, and there was a section ahead that was deep in mud. There was no way around that muddy part except to walk right through it. And for 4 months, I had been sitting there under the same tree, looking at the muddy spot, unwilling to get my feet dirty. It wasn't that I minded the mud so much. It was that I didn't want the discomfort of hiking in wet, dirty shoes afterwards. Enough! I was so bored. Yes, the mud would be uncomfortable and I'd be dirty. Oh, well. I couldn't take sitting there any longer. Today, I would cross that muddy patch, ask that question, and start that science experiment. If there was a loud shout from the wall, well, I'd deal with it. And if my friend got sad, well, he'd have to deal with it. Should I contact my online friend to let him know I was finally starting our science experiment? I almost did, but finally I decided I'd contact him later. I sat down on my real couch in my real living room. I got ready to ask. I took my job as a scientist seriously. I mentally reviewed before I started. I would say, God, do you exist? And then he would send a single answer that meant yes, maybe a special cloud, a butterfly. Wait, I would never accept something like that as proof of his presence. I'd just say it was a random event. And that was a problem. If there was no way that God could convince me with a single answer, I was being unfair by asking that question. How could I fix that? I needed a question that required a group of answers, maybe with a pattern to them or something to make it more unlikely than a butterfly. My heart yearned for him. It yearned for him so much that it grew bold. It suggested to my mind, getting to know him would require more than one answer. My mind shrugged. That would do. He probably wasn't going to answer anyway. So, God, if you exist, I want to get to know you. That didn't sound like a very good question, but surely it was fair. It required more than one answer. And I simply didn't want to wait anymore. I sat on my couch and I asked, God, if you're there, I want to get to know you. And I added, I know that there's a problem with my grammar because there's no question mark. But I sense there's a question in there. I know that my online friend would understand the question that it contains. He's very perceptive. But that means that you too will understand. I repeated my question several times with proper feelings, deep yearning from my heart. Then I was done. I was proud of myself for asking so well. No, wait, I forgot. Quickly I added, and please show me in a way I cannot miss. Now it was well done. I would wait to see if he answered. and wait, and wait, and wait for the rest of my life? No, I wasn't willing to wait my whole life just to see if God would answer. I figured God was still listening. He's everywhere after all. So I said, God, I'm sorry, but I need to add a time limit. Please answer within 6 months. That seemed fair. I was giving him time, not rushing him, but also respecting my need to have a deadline for the end of the science experiment. Was I impatient as I settled in to wait for his answer? No, of course not. I didn't think there would be an answer, so there was nothing to be impatient about. I was just waiting for the 6 months to be over so I could tell my friend there's been no answer. Except that's not how it happened. God did answer. Thank you for listening to this video. Your interest in this story means a lot to me. The next video is about his answer, but it has 2 parts because his answer was spectacular. In 3A, he sends an amazing answer, an offer. I don't realize it's from him. I just think the world has gotten very strange. But I do accept the offer. In 3B, he tells me that the offer was his answer. I struggled to accept his presence, but eventually I realized that he's really there.